Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. I'm going to be showing you how you can create your own blog generator. The goal of this is to take an article that you're interested in and to paste on your own social media. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this URL. Now first what we want to do is we want to have some form trigger. For me, I'm going to use the form submission. You could use Google Sheets or anything else if you want to. This is just the simplest for me. So I'm just going to say blog generator. Say generates blogs. Perfect. So now we just need some form of input. Make this required. Now input our URL, and there we go. Now we have our article that we want to scrape. So I'm just going to pin this data. Now if you want to be extra secure with your workflow, I'm going to use an if condition. This is just basically going to check to make sure that we have a properly formatted URL. Otherwise we'll just break the workflow if it continues with improper format. So I'm just going to say that this contains the HTTPS at the beginning. And so if I test this, now you can see it enters the true branch, so that means that it's properly formatted. And if it isn't properly formatted, well, we'll just generate a form ending response and it'll just say error, invalid URL format, for example. There we go, perfect. Alright, so now that we actually have our article, how are we actually going to generate a blog from it? Well, first we actually need to get the contents of our article, and to do that I'm going to be using a provider called Apify. What this is going to allow me to do is to input a URL and then scrape all the contents of that article. Now rather than us having to manually input the URL and run it, we're going to do that from N8N itself. So first, in order to do that, we need to actually use the API. Now what we want to do is we want to use this one, is run actor synchronously and get dataset items. Copy this, go back to N8N, make an HTTP request, and now what we need is to change this to post, and now what we need is a send body. Next what we're going to do is we go back to Apify, and we need to change this to JSON, copy it, and paste it in here. Last thing we need to do is to change this to the URL that we had input from the form. There we go. Now let's just run this. So as it's doing its thing, this is going to take a little bit of time. It might take up to a minute. So in the meantime, I'm just going to add a limit, and what this is going to do is, because sometimes articles have multiple languages and so it will actually scrape all of them. So I'm just going to limit it to the first one. Alright, so we'll just attach this here. Next, we will then use an OpenAI module. Now this is what's going to actually generate our blog. So first I'm going to put in a system prompt. This is usually a very good practice to do. This is how the model identifies. So you are an intelligent and helpful writing assistant and an expert in writing blogs. Perfect. Alright, so now it's time to add the user prompt. Now I'm just going to copy this that I made. I change this to expression, so I actually need to wait for this data to finish scraping. But let's just go over the prompt. So you are a professional blog writer who creates high quality, engaging, SEO optimized content. You will write a 1,000-word blog post on the article that has been scraped. Your target audience is small business owners and startup founders, and the tone should be informative and practical. Next, what I want to do is I want to generate a photo from this. This is up to you whether if you want to do that. but I'm going to get it to write a short 2-sentence prompt to generate a photo that is relevant to our article. And then finally, we want to have it output in a JSON format. So in order to actually do this, I'm going to click Output as JSON, choose a model. Now you probably want to choose something better in terms of model, maybe something like 4.1 or 4.0. But for this one, I'm just going to use 4.0 mini. It's good enough for now. But first we actually need to get our data. So it finished scraping. And as you can see, we have a nice JSON format. So, and you can see we have the abstract and we have all of the text here. So, and as you can see, as I was talking about before, we have multiple different languages. So that's why we have the limit at the beginning. So if I now actually need to pin this data, go through, test the step. So now as you can see, there's just one item and it's all in English. Perfect. Alright, so now let's actually give the OpenAI the context of our article. So I will just say article. I'll say, let's give it the title. So there should be a headline here, title, here we go. Next, let's find the text here. We could also give it the abstract too. Abstract. And next we'll say article, body, and it should be the text that we will find right here. There we go. All right, perfect. Now let's generate that. This also could take a little bit. There's a lot of content being put into here. But now what we want to do is, while that is generating, I'm going to go here. Alright, so next to generate an image. And now you can select the model, go to photo prompt, put it inside here, and what we want to do is we want to respond with image URL. This will basically allow us to store the URL inside of our Airtable, which is where we're going to use to store our blog. So let's go ahead and test the step. Sometimes this will also take a second. So I'll just go ahead to Airtable, create a record. Next you'll want to choose your base and the table. So now you can see we have our URL. This is the revised prompt. And it's, there we go, blog generator. So now we just need to map out the fields. So we have the photo URL, which is here. That way we can just go and view it. The image prompt, we can either take the revised prompt or we can use the one that OpenAI generated. So we'll just take that one. Blog text. And then finally the article URL, which we got from here. There we go. So now we'll just run this step. And voila, output's here. Let's go ahead, refresh this. And there we go. So now you can just easily drag and drop this into your whatever social media, or you can directly integrate Facebook or any meta apps into N8N, although it's a very, very tedious process, and you do require a business account for that. LinkedIn is very, very simple. It's just simple login with your account and you can just automatically upload the blog to there. However, that's something that you can do on your own time. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.